Hey everyone, welcome to tonight's Natural Delights Facebook Live. My name is Amy Goodson, registered dietitian and partner with Natural Delights, and I am so excited that you have joined me to talk all things date deliciousness. You're going to be glad you came. We have all types of recipes in store, as well as a giveaway that you are going to want to stay tuned for. So most importantly tonight, we want to be hearing from you. We want to talk to you. The Natural Delights team is in the comments box to answer your questions, to talk back with you. So be sure and drop us a note. Give us your ideas. We want to hear how you love to cook with dates, how to use them in all your favorite holiday dishes. So we're at ND Medjool Dates. And if you want to follow me on Facebook, I'm at Amy Goodson, and on Instagram at amyg.rd. We talk about these recipes all week long and all the goodness that we are bringing to you, both with recipes, tips, tricks, all the things you want to know to naturally sweeten your holiday with, of course, one of my favorites, Medjool dates. Now, one of the things that we get talking about through all of the different Facebook Lives is how can you naturally sweeten dishes without spiking that blood sugar? You're taking a look at all of our recipes that we have been going through, from salads to sweet dishes like the sweet potatoes you saw, to appetizers. We have talked about sweetening produce dishes like Brussels sprouts, as well as some snacks. One of my favorites were these apple Medjool date sandwiches. Of course, date oatmeal cookies, and of course, we had to have pizza. And so using dates to sweeten so many different recipes. So if you missed any of our past Facebook Lives, scroll down on the Natural Delights Facebook page and check them out. We've done 3 recipes a week, and we've been doing those for 3 weeks. This is week 4. So check those out if you missed them. You're definitely going to want to try the recipes to impress all of your friends and your family throughout the holidays. Now, tonight, I think one of the biggest things that people think about during the holiday season is, how do I enjoy what I eat without causing a blood sugar spike? So whether you or your family, someone in your family has diabetes, maybe pre-diabetic, or you are just looking to stabilize your blood sugar and feel good, stabilize those energy levels across the holiday season, I have the answer for you tonight in forms of cookie dough to little bites, as well as to bread. So you're going to be glad that you came. Now, when we talk about Natural Delights Medjool dates, I love them because they have such a naturally sweet flavor. You get lots of nutrients when we talk about dates, like fiber and antioxidants. But I think one of the keys is that they taste good, and they can taste good in so many different recipes. But when we talk about using dates in recipes, you have to know what to do with them. And a lot of people see a date and they're like, what am I supposed to do with this date besides eat it? That's one of the things I've been talking to friends and family members. My hair lady a few weeks ago was like, I've never thought about how to cook with dates. My dad and I were chatting over the holidays, and he was like, he calls me Shug. Shug? He said, I never really thought about making anything with a date. He said, I've stuffed it with goat cheese and wrapped bacon around it, but other than that, it's never crossed my mind. And I think it's because a lot of people don't know how to get dates in a position to be able to cook with them. So I'm going to give you a few tips tonight, and one of them is pitting a date. So I want you to find your chopsticks. This is such a cool hack because dates have a seed in the middle. So you're going to want to take the end of the chopstick that's a little bit firm, push that right through that date to get the seed out. Now, this works easier said than done. Sometimes, like right now, it just worked perfectly for me. The seed came right out just like that. You have a perfectly intact date. So this is one of the keys, is having an intact date that you can chop, dice, slice, whatever you want to do with it. Now, another tip, because dates do have a little bit of stickiness to them, is before you're going to chop them or dice them, is to pop them in the freezer for about 15 minutes. This allows the dates and the sugars to naturally kind of firm up, which is going to make it much easier to slice through when you put them on that cutting board. So you'll see when we're slicing a date that's a little more firm, it slices really easily, super simple to use, and have it ready to cook with, bake with, whatever it is that you want to do. So stay tuned again for a giveaway that we're going to have in a little bit longer, a little bit from now. But first things first is we want to get going with our recipe. Now, I think if I asked you, do you think cookie dough is a nutritious treat that you can enjoy over the holiday season? Most people would say delicious, yes, nutritious, no. But tonight I am going to give you an almond cookie dough recipe that you can snack on throughout the entire holiday season, and better yet, feel good about snacking on it. Now, to make this cookie dough, we are starting by making almond pulp. Now, this is a little interesting because I Googled how to make almond pulp and could not find it. Let me tell you how to make it. This is a tip because I could not find this anywhere on the internet. You are going to chop or coarsely chop in the food processor about 2 cups of almonds and then add 1.5 cups of water. And basically you're making what is almond milk. That's the way, every time I looked at it online, it would tell me how to make almond milk or something else, but never to make the almond pulp. So once you get that almond thick consistency made, you are going to start basically straining out the liquid. So I found it easiest to use a spatula because you're making an almond paste. Now, side note, you're actually making almond milk as well. There's a bowl below this, and I'm pushing the fluid underneath into that bowl. So you could make your own homemade almond milk. And then you have this almond pulp that you could use to make cookie dough like we're going to use. You could use it to make any type of energy bite or bar. And you can actually use that paste, that almond pulp, and you can dry it in the oven to make almond flour, almond meal, which could then be used in oatmeal, lots of different recipes. So this almond pulp, once you get it made, we are going to start to make our almond cookie dough. So this is going to start by using some dates to get that natural sweetness. Now, I recommend softening these dates by allowing them to sit in water for about 10 minutes, then put them in the food processor. You're from there going to be adding your almond pulp. And then you can add whatever nut butter you would like. Almond butter is clearly a good fit here, but I'm actually using peanut butter. It's a little bit smoother. If you have a nut butter allergy in your family, you could use a seed butter. Add some vanilla, get the lid on. Now, the key is getting the lid on tight. I got a new food processor, y'all. I'm so excited. So it took me a second to get the lid on. But what you want to do is get this well mixed so that it's fairly smooth. Then you're going to be adding some coconut, some hemp hearts, which have some protein and some healthy fat, oats, as well as some chia seeds, adding fiber and omega-3s, and then some salt. And this is going to create this very smooth, really delicious smelling cookie dough. So you want to get it well. I had it going on a high consistency here just to get it really well combined. And then, of course, the last thing you want to do is add some chocolate chips. So once you get those chocolate chips in there, you pulse this a little bit longer to get this really good, consistent dough. I mean, it's a fairly thick dough. And you're going to roll it into little balls because everything in here is ready to eat. So one of my favorite ideas of recipes are the ones you don't have to bake. And so no cooking required. You're going to roll them into small balls. So if you have a little ice cream scoop, that is a good option. Clearly, I'm just using a spoon. I do not have an ice cream scoop. You're going to roll them into, I think I would call it smaller than golf balls. And you're going to put these on some parchment paper, on a baking sheet, whatever you have, honestly, that you could pop into the fridge. And once you have all of your balls rolled up the size that you want them, you're going to pop those into the fridge for about an hour. They really firm up into this nice little delicious bite of cookie dough. Now, what's phenomenal about this is that they have a tasty flavor, but these little almond cookie dough bites are full of nutrition. So we've got protein here, we have fiber, we've got some carbohydrate and some healthy fats because you saw us add the hemp seeds, the chia seeds, as well as the nut butter. So this is like a perfect blend of blood sugar goodness. This is going to help stabilize your blood sugar. You're going to feel more satisfied because that protein and fat's going to help you stay a little bit more full. These are great to pop in your purse if you're a woman. You could pop them in a computer bag. If you have children, I think these would be a great option for a lunchbox. I've used them as a pre-workout snack or a post-workout snack. They're very satisfying, easy for on the go. So when we talk about the holiday season, a lot of times we're running here to there. You might be running to chase kids. You might be going, grocery shopping or just shopping in general, store to store. People always tease me because in my purse, I have something like whether it's a snack baggie of like almond cookie dough or a bar or dates and almonds. I always have something because you want to be prepared when you get hungry. If not, you end up walking through, the little whatever samples they're giving out, or you end up in the food court. You don't want to end up in the food court. So try making these almond cookie dough bites. I guarantee you're going to love them. And these could actually be a dessert. So you could take them with you to a party as a dessert. Definitely something people would enjoy and something that's definitely going to be a little bit better for them with that natural sweetness. So recipe number 1, cookie dough for everyone. And I'm definitely here for it. Cookie dough all holiday season. Now, our next recipe that we're going to be making are Medjool date bites. And what I love about these is there's so many different ways that you can make these bites. The first ones that I'm making are going to be a little more savory in nature. So what we're going to do is take our Medjool dates and we are going to slice them totally in half. So it's kind of like a little sandwich. I have like little breads that you could make. And we are going to be stuffing them full of goodness. So what you're going to do is take half of your Medjool date. You're going to layer a piece of apple, a piece of manchego, which is my favorite cheese. You're going to add a little sprig of arugula, top with that other date, wrap it in prosciutto, and put your little toothpick in it. So these make a delicious appetizer. So whether you are hosting a party, whether you are going to a party, these have a sweetness with the dates, a little bit with the apple, but they also have a beautiful look to them. They're a pretty classy little appetizer that you can take with you. Now, the dietitian in me loves these because I've got the protein, right? So I've got the manchego cheese and I have the prosciutto, which is adding the protein there. I even got a little sprig of vegetables in there with the arugula. And then I've got the fiber and the dates and the apple. So you really get a sweet, savory combination that the dietitian in me loves because it's going to stabilize your blood sugar levels, keep your energy stable. But the foodie in me loves because you're getting the sweet, you're getting the savory, a lot of different textures. So the apple's going to give it a little crunch. The dates have that natural chewiness, that caramel flavor. So it's a bite-sized treat. One thing about going to a party, I hate going to a party and they give me a bite-sized treat that I can't eat and just like with my hand in a bite. As you can see, this was perfect, ultimate appetizer dish if you are taking this with you. Now, there's a lot of other ways that you can make these Medjool date bites with nut butters. You can make them with different cheeses, etc. So one of my favorite ways to do this is with a nut butter because y'all all know if you've been around long enough, I'm obsessed with peanut butter and almond butter. So you are going to be stuffing that date full of peanut butter, almond butter. As I mentioned, you could use a seed butter if you wanted, like a sunflower butter. Adds a little bit of that salt. To the date chewiness, you get this really creamy consistency when you add the nut butter. And I'm actually sprinkling peanuts right on top for a little crunch. Now, if you want the goat, no pun intended, of all appetizers, try stuffing your Medjool date with goat cheese. So goat cheese has a little bit of tartness to it. So when you put that tartness inside that caramely sweet date, it really makes a burst of flavor that your taste buds are going to enjoy. And then I love crunch. So I'm sprinkling some pistachios right on top to give it that added crunch. Pistachios have a little bit of that savory flavor as well. And let me tell you, I've made these a few different ways. And one way I've actually made them is by also adding pomegranate arils. So pomegranate arils are red, pistachios are green, our goat cheese is white. Makes it the perfect holiday goat appetizer to take to all of your gatherings. And again, this is a bite that you can feel good about eating. That goat cheese has some protein in it. So it's really going to help stabilize the blood sugar. And you really just get a burst of flavor that, let me tell you, you are going to love. So think outside of the date box this holiday season when you're thinking about making these. You could use the dates and stuff them with nut butter. You could stuff them with Nutella. If you have kids, Nutella. You could sprinkle coconut on these. You could do chocolate chips, fruit, seeds. Really think outside the box. And let me tell you, if you really want to think in kind of the savory route, I would do the goat cheese and sprinkle them with chopped bacon. That would be a game changer when it comes to the savory component. And if you're not a fan of prosciutto, you're not a fan of wrapping things with meat, you could do think of a thin cucumber slice, wrap it with a veggie. If you've got friends that flare towards plant-based or you are trying to please all the taste buds at the party, that would be a great way to add another pop of color there and add that little bit of green to our Christmas holiday season. And again, you're adding vegetables, which as a dietitian, I'm always for. So Medjool date bites for the win. And again, we're adding some of that natural sweetness. So what's cool is that this year, I got to go to the date harvest. So we're always looking for ways, I feel like nowadays, to eat farm to table. Well, this is legit eating tree to table because dates are still hand harvested from the date palms. And so many people, I think whether it's the holiday season or any season, we're always looking for how can we eat fresh? How can we add those fresh ingredients to whatever it is that we're making? So when you're using Medjool dates, you're really using a farm to table or tree to table food, whether it's an appetizer, whether it's a dessert dish, or anything that you're making. So that's a really cool way to think of adding nutrients, eating a whole food, and the best part is loving the flavor. So I mentioned that we were going to be doing a giveaway. So right now we are posting a question on the screen and in the comment box. We want to know, what is your favorite way to add protein to a snack with fresh Medjool dates? So drop your answer in the comment box right now. Our team is there talking to you. We want to know if you've got any really creative ways to use dates and protein. Maybe you're coming up with stuffing and wrapping them with something that I haven't yet. Let us know, and we're going to be announcing the winner after we do recipe number 3. Now, when it comes to the holidays, I am a person that loves breads. Pumpkin bread, date bread, blueberry bread, you name it. I would abandon a pie for a bread any day of the week. So this Medjool date bread is 100% up my alley. However, a lot of people think of breads and they think loaded with sugar, not good for me, gonna pack on the pounds, no good. But tonight I have a recipe that I think is gonna change the way you think about holiday breads. And this one is sweetened with fresh Medjool dates, which is going to give it that sweet flavor, caramely flavor, but it's actually not too sweet, which is something that I like. So to make this date bread, we are going to start with about a cup of dates. Now, this is about 10 dates chopped. We are sprinkling some baking soda on them. It's a teaspoon of baking soda and a cup of boiling hot water and letting that sit for about 10 minutes. Then we are going to be mixing in our flour. Now, I was mixing in the flour here at half the rate, like a little bit at a time so it doesn't splatter everywhere. And then we're going to be mixing in a little bit of sugar. And I did a swap. I mixed some sugar and I swapped half the sugar out for stevia. You could use whatever sweetener alternative you would like, but I swapped it out for stevia, added a little bit of salt to our bread, a little bit of butter, getting that well blended. I had this on low as I was blending this up, and then an egg. So we're making a really dense batter so that we're going to be ready to make this bread. Now, what's cool about making breads is there's a lot of different swaps that you can actually make. So I used flour tonight, but you can actually swap half of flour for a non-flavored protein powder. So if you're looking for ways to get protein into baked goods where you normally wouldn't see protein, that's a way that you can do it. You can use a non-flavored or a flavored, but in things like bread, I would go non-flavored. And I mentioned I use stevia. So the recipe actually calls for a cup of sugar. I used half a cup of sugar and then swap the other half with stevia. You could use monk fruit, you could use Splenda. There's lots of different options based on your taste preferences, but that's a good way to bring down the sugar content, yet still get the sweetness. Plus, dates are a fantastic replacement for refined sugar. So if you're bringing the sugar content down, but you add the dates, you've really got this nice blend of the natural sugar with a little bit of an alternative to create a really delicious bread. So there's a few swaps when you're making breads. Now, we are going to be adding some nuts to our bread. So tonight we are adding walnuts. So once you get that mixture all mixed, you are going to be adding walnuts. Now this makes a pretty thick mixture. Now, I'm going to go back to something that I showed you a minute ago, which is when I added baking soda to the dates. Truth be told, my middle name is not Betty Crocker or Martha Stewart. So I was like, why in the world are we adding baking soda to dates and hot water and letting it sit? Well, first of all, it softens the dates for cooking, which is great. Number two, you can see this batter is pretty dense. It's a pretty dense batter. Baking soda and water helps dense, wet batter rise. So who knew? That's your science lesson for today. I actually had no idea. I knew if there was baking soda and water involved, there was a science experiment somewhere in there. But when you have really dense batter like this, that baking soda is softening the dates, but then it's going to help this rise. So once you get your walnuts stirred in, your batter is ready to go. Now, I pre-greased my loaf pan here, but you're just going to pour your, turn it this way so you can see it, pour your batter in. It fills it up, this is a 9x5 loaf pan. It fills it up, I would say half-ish. Just a second and I'll get that shown to you. You want to get it all out. Fills it up, it might even be closer to a third. It doesn't look very full. You see, it's about, I'm going to give it almost half. Once you get it like this, you're going to pop this into the oven at 325 for an hour. An hour, cooked it perfectly. This bread is so soft. It's so dense. You can see the nuts and the pieces of dates in there. It has a natural sweetness, but it's not too sweet. So I plan on eating this with some nut butter. Like I'm probably for breakfast tomorrow going to warm this, spread some peanut butter on it and call it breakfast. This would be a great dessert. You could serve it by itself, maybe with a little Cool Whip or whatever your forte is. But this would work to take to a party. It would, if you're going to have company over the holidays, I know people travel over the weekend. And if you're my mom, you're stressed out because you don't know what to make them for breakfast. This was a pretty one and done situation. Like I used one bowl. I mixed everything in it with the beater and then poured it in there and baked it. And this would feed a lot of different people. So this would be a great option to have available if you have friends coming over, people spending the night for the holidays. Delicious way to just heat, serve, and go in the morning. So Medjool date bread for the win. Now, I said that we were going to be giving away our fresh Medjool dates as well as my 4-week Shape It Up meal plan. So you're going to be doing good over the holidays because you're using dates to sweeten your recipes. But when it comes January and we're all ready to shape it up, you're going to have a meal plan ready to go. So the Natural Delights team is right now announcing the winner. Here is what the winner, we need you to do. We need you to send us a direct message right here on the Natural Delights Facebook page. That's at ND Medjool Dates. Send us a direct message and we'll get in touch with you telling you what information that we need so that you can get your delicious supply of Natural Delights fresh Medjool dates, as well as access to the Shape It Up meal plan. Now, this is November 30th. We have 2 more weeks of our Facebook Lives. Next week, we're talking about another very popular topic, which is how do you keep your trim waistline and still enjoy all the sweet goodness? Tonight, I made almond cookie dough. Next week, I'm flipping it to a cookie that's a little sweet and has a Middle Eastern flair. We are going to be talking about how to make a raw energy bar, all kinds of things to help you fuel through the holidays. So Be sure to join us next Tuesday, September the 7th at 7 p.m. Central Time, right here on the Natural Delights Facebook page. I'll be here in the same kitchen, different recipes, but more delicious ideas to help fuel your holidays. Thanks for joining us, and I'll see you next week at 7 p.m. Central.